So yes, it's in a way, when you look at the juxtaposition of these photographs, you see how, in a way, there has been no evolution, or there's been evolution along a certain way. And I mean, interestingly, talking, for example, to an education expert from Maharashtra, very motivated to, analyse tribal education and do what's good, but she'd heard only good things about this school because they're giving the education free, they have all the facilities and everything, but the regimentation and what's really happening, the power structure within the boarding school, isn't being looked at so much. And this is one of the quotes that brings out the essence of what's happening. So one of the things, the main discourse on the tribal education policy is emphasising again and again, tribal people have the lowest literacy rates, especially for girls and women, and the highest rates of leaving schools. And of course, this is important, it's significant, but what's not being, when you highlight those things, what you don't realise is that these are cultures that have had oral traditions, so when they're being forced to be literate, those oral traditions are just being completely undermined, instead of this real integration that was conceived of in the early policies at independence. So this is a researcher in the 90s was asking an Oraon tribal man who was non-literate, so why don't you send your children to school? What's wrong? And he says, this is translated from Hindi or Kuruk, the Oraon language. Everything is wrong. It's making our children learn to read and write, no doubt, but at the same time, it's not our education. It is your education, Babu. You are snatching our children and making them diku. They start to look down on us after education. They want to leave everything that is our identity. Are we not human? You do not teach them our language, our culture, our way of life. You are making them aliens in our own homes. So sensitive educationists who have looked at this question have really begun to emphasise it, but still there's very, very little awareness of this problem in India. Even activists who are working on other issues, they don't realise the significance of all of this. If you look at, for example, the second paragraph here, Elwin, he wrote some of the best books. I'm an anthropologist by training, so some of the books that drew me to tribal India were written by Elwin, and this is his classic, the Murya and the Gotrul. And the Gotrul is an educational institution that's very interesting, that like from the age of 6, children would sleep more in this youth club house.
It's called a
dormitory. It's called a dormitory, but that's such a mistranslation of what it is. And then the older children would educate them in songs, dances, myths, games, riddles. So there's a whole initiation that happened through that, and a whole movement away from the nuclear family into the wider community and into work also, so how it ties up with Gandhi's system. So of course the Gotrul has been banned by the Maoists. It's also almost been made dysfunctional in most of the villages. So, but not long ago, in the school we'll end up looking at, we met a woman who'd been through a Gotrul and just said, what fun it was, how sad it is it's not there anymore. So if you're looking at the more recent policy documents, since 2000 there have been a few, like this NCERT, the National
Curriculum Framework.
Commission, what does NCERT, National
Council for Education Research and Training.
Council for Education Research and Training. So actually masterminded by Krishna Kumar, who's been Malvika's teacher, some very, very sensitive reports on all aspects of education in India, but especially from our point of view on the tribal one. And then the Virginia Skaka report. Kaka is pronounced XA, that's an Oraon name. So he is talking about how actually the real policy in India has been one of assimilation, and above all done through the schools. I mean, I've worked on tribal issues in India for years and years, but I hadn't realised until I met Malvika the extent to which the kind of cultural genocide that is being promoted in India, it's happening above all, because partly the language. So all these tribal, very, very rich languages, the youth are just turning away from them because they've been punished in schools or laughed at if they speak the languages. So they're just being forced into the main, like mainstream ways of thinking, really. So in a way, if you look at the evolution of policy, the movement has been towards one of privatisation and towards bigger and bigger. So that's why you get the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences in Bhubaneswar. And this is examples of what goes on inside, the kind of, there's a Hindutvaization there, so there are lots of Hindu temples. A lot of these kids will be from Christian families or from, the tribal religion is not standardized in the way that Hinduism is. And it's far, far more nature-based, but you can see these kids they're no longer nature-based, really. They're being regimented in something that's both Hindutva and literacy. So all the top UN agencies come there, all the ambassadors to India come there, but it's also funded by the mining companies who also have an agenda of wanting to get these people's land. So brainwash the kids and you can get the land is almost, without doubt, the agenda. And this is, here the kids have been arranged into Banega Swachh India. It's like, make India clean. Like, India has a little problem. Okay, but this is putting the onus for responsibility on the individual instead of on the corporations. I mean, you've got these mining companies are polluting to an extent that is incredible, and then it's like the tribal people are being used in this way. It's very, very ironic when you look at it like that. Now this is like head of it, called Achyut Samanta, and his words here are very interesting, just the kind of use of English. So I'll just read it out and see what you think of it. Education is a liberating and democratizing force that emancipates the weak and oppressed from the bondages of backwardness. True education is value-based. It strikes a balance between the pursuit of knowledge and well-being of the people in the society at large. Education provides knowledge, and knowledge leads to the development of an individual. Education is the key to success in the life. Only education can change the life of a human being. It is education that ignites the human mind and leads to awareness and the development of an individual and the community as a whole. KISS Delhi persistently endeavours to enable the deprived children to lead a decent life by making a good quality education available to them. So you can see some of the almost non-thinking that is in there and the stereotypes of backwardness. Then Kellogg is providing, I mean, I too love like Kellogg's cornflakes or Weetabix or whatever, but you can imagine, implicit in that is the kids' divorce from the nature-based and food that they make themselves. Like in some of the school we'll look at the end, or in Gandhi's own school, kids are growing their food, they're making their food, and it's of course the most nutritious food. So then, analysing this a bit more deeply, the conceptual structures here, what is the knowledge and what is the concept of education that's being taught in mining-sponsored institutions like this? And when the discourse emphasises ecology, environmental responsibility, sustainable development, I mean, and that's contrary to what these companies are doing, and the PR companies are being used, it becomes very, becomes a real disconnect between, about 5 minutes, is it?
You have, easily, yeah.
Okay.
At least 10.
So, in a way, the dealing of body and minds, of mind from hand, that all the hundreds of skills that traditionally the tribal kids are learning. Bibek Debroy, very, very powerful on the Niti Aayog, that is replaced the Planning Commission in India, how he promotes the KISS model, and at the same time the mining companies, the militarization of the tribal areas. The militarization because in a way the Maoist conflict is, I would say, the worst war there has ever been in India, but it's so masked from the public discourse that within India people know, and they'll read in the newspaper about Maoist attack and security forces have killed a few Maoists, or a few Maoists have surrendered, but the scale of it, it's like going on all the time. It's dividing communities, and I mean, we can talk more and more about that later, maybe if you are interested. And also the the Maoist concept of education and what is that. Yeah, it's a big subject. But in the and especially because several recent newspaper articles, for example, have promoted the police are masterminding the taking away of tribal children from villages that are Maoist affected, to take them away from there, then put them in boarding schools, and actually police-sponsored, so then the tribal children are encouraged to join the police force. And then you've got this real split happening there. So this is the kind of things that mining companies say, that you very often hear mining people say, there was nothing here before we came to the tribal area, meaning just a few mud huts. And that nothing means they cannot see the symbiosis that existed with the environment, the centuries-old kind of systems of agriculture and knowledge of forest, and even of building houses out of natural materials and so on. So this is another thing they say. Orissa is one of the poorest states in India, but one of the richest in minerals. And it's like promoting an idea that the minerals are lying there in the mountains unutilized. All we need to do is get them out and we'll become rich. And of course that doesn't work because of the way partly the mining industry is organized very hierarchically, where collecting all the profits in the hand of an elite, but also because mining the mountains then destroys the mountain's water holding capacity and disturbs the whole environment. And this is in Vedanta's school I happen to know this school a bit. Like this is a line in the song, we are happy to sacrifice ourselves for our nation. It's in a way almost a concept of human sacrifice that's there. So in a way you can see Vedanta and the other mining companies funding KISS because, or even Tata Steel, who's now quite big in the British economy, is funding what they call multilingual education. But in order to, it's kind of removing the children in several senses from their communities and their values. Other things like corporal punishment are huge, still in India, although illegal. And then this phrase that's emphasized on the KISS website, but also by some educationists, that these people are first generation learners. It's an amazing kind of non-recognition of the tribal knowledge and value systems that, for example, the Guttural has existed there for hundreds of years. And all that learning is really being undermined by this residential school kind of model. So the ashram school model, and then these are several other ones, Eklavya model residential schools. There are several hundreds of all of these models of boarding school. What's very dangerous about them too is the Hindutvaization, because if you look at some of the most violent episodes that have been well known in India in the last since 2000, one was the Gujarat riots in 2002, another was the Kondmahal killing of Christians in Orissa in 2009. And in both of those, tribal people were effectively turned against, in one case Muslims, in the other case Christians, because of this extreme form of Hindu nationalism that they've been learning in schools. Or in the RSS organises all kinds of other things too. This is more scenes from KISS to get an idea of what's going on there. You can see some of the Hindu temples in the background there. And the kind of standardised... So that standardised kind of dress, way of standing and everything, this is the kind of opposite. Some books that really show the opposite. Madhu Ramnath is a friend who has lived for more than 30 years in a very remote tribal village and really begun to write about it and what's happening. The cultural genocide, I think, isn't too strong a word for what's going on. When you see these villages that have been, in the early days when I went to India, late 30 years ago, they were still, people hardly used money. They would use money a little bit when they went to market, but on the whole they were self-sufficient. They were living in their system, both in terms of religion, the spirit world, and nature, and incredible number of skills, incredible sense of humour they have. And then, because the tribal areas of India are also the areas of minerals and forests, that exploitation has become more and more and more in the last 20 years. So these are some things that I've heard, or friends have heard Adivasis say, that this is about Niyamgiri. We need the mountain needs us. It's really a very deep understanding of symbiosis. We're being flooded out by money. So this is when, if you look at the Human Development Index, it tries to measure things by health, education, and financial income. And especially with tribal people, in a way, the more money is coming into an area, the more their quality of life goes down, because the prices of things is going up, they are not growing their food anymore, and sometimes tribal people really have an amazing understanding in a few words to summarize what's happening. And this is a tribal leader really standing up to the authorities and saying, it's not development to mine these millions of years old mountains just for profit for a few officials. How many bombs and planes will you make from this bauxite? Because they'd had some education understanding aluminium's place in the arms industry. So, you know, even the policeman who was masterminding the crowd, he didn't understand that, what they meant. And then this is another amazing, inspiring Adivasi leader. Put it again, non-literate. It's not millions of rupees up there on Nilgiri, meaning the bauxite. It's our Mabab that nurtures us and will defend her. It's the mythical demons have re-emerged through these companies. So what they call in India Asur. The behavior of Asur in Hindu mythology is like these demons who, very jovial but very kind of demonic in how they behave and very greedy. And they are seeing corporations like these. We can't eat money. Another profound kind of simple statement. And outside the Supreme Court in Delhi, I heard an Oriya say this about an Oriya judge who had made a particular judgment. Karma, amaro dharma. It's his karma, it's our dharma. And that is such an amazing, in 4 words, and it summarizes Hindu philosophy from a tribal, which is very unusual, and it summarizes the situation, because actually the judge is corrupt, and amazing, really, when you... So this is just very end, an Adivasi school, very on the edge of the Maoist conflict area. It started out in the Gandhian way, but it's developed, it's democratic, the children decide what they want to learn. It uses these different languages, and it's holistic evaluation. Malvika can talk more about that. It's using the hand along with the mental learning, and it's learning from, so it's growing plants, it's making food, and there is an Adivasi potter who is teaching them, they're learning that as well as other things. So that's a very brief summary through lots of different areas.
Super, thank you very much, Felix. And